we'll be silly.
No.
I'm happy to be silly.
Yeah.
Dean, I don't give a flying flip if it's Dylan Moore. You sit your ass at the Shabbos table till 10 o'clock and then you can go do your thing. Ben Key, you can choose anything.
Yeah.
I know.
No, we need a forward.
We need a forward.
I might wait, hold on, I'm not talking. Ben Keys.
Yeah.
What? Why?
I've actually heard the only thing less likely than a North Melbourne win is Chase making a sale at work.
What's that? Backs?
Backs. Yeah.
Mids, forwards.
Harry? Ooh, Adams, 89.
Welcome back to Dawson Toss, Season 5, Episode 13. Back with Brodie. Dean, off-camera altar, is on the beanbags again. And suspiciously, he just said that he went to get a box of tissues and a laptop before the podcast.
And he's in the cuck chair,
So a bit of Moises Enriquez. What are you listening to there, Dean?
I hope my voice comes through a bit clearer than last week. I think we're probably like similar to what I was pre-surgery, and just building, and hopefully next week I join you boys on the couch.
Kane.
I think Chase asked you what you're listening to.
What am I listening
Just
to?
a bit of Spotify?
Yeah, a bit of Spotify. Just close it when Mitchell Stark comes in.
Yeah. I it's always a big mystery of what was actually going on there. And I'm pretty sure Moises actually was on a podcast and explained that Mitchell Stark gave him instructions to like act like that. Because he left the door open, so I don't think he was actually having a go.
Also, if you were, it wouldn't be published.
Yeah.
Surely not.
Yeah.
Unless they were live, which I assume they weren't because it was early 2010.
But he went all red as well.
Yeah, but he was young. He also is quite red. I feel like he has a naturally blushed face. But I think he was like told to look busy and then like to kind of pretend that Mitchell Stark was interrupting him with something. And he just made it look so sus.
Didn't we randomly walk by him recently in Sydney?
Yeah, well, I think you said that. No, we did.
We
Yeah,
did,
we did.
yeah.
We did walk by Moises. Nothing to do with footy. It was another great round. Bro, did you manage to watch any games this week?
Yeah, the Thursday night, Friday night, Collingwood Saturday night, and a bit of Saturday Arvo. I was actually sleeping for most of that game though.
That'll do. Saturday Arvo was the Hawthorn game.
Yeah.
Well, fair reason to have a nap then, to be fair. So, let's go Thursday night. I think Geelong are being slept on, which is crazy. You listen to SEN and everyone's talking about, who's the premiership favourites? Collingwood, head and shoulders above is what TJ's saying. And like, no, Brisbane, so let's not forget about them. But no one is talking about Geelong's premiership chances at the moment. And they've just knocked off the red-hot Bulldogs. They've got a lot of good players in form. Their midfield's firing. Their forward line's firing. And as is their backline, I think they should be in this conversation, no?
So they're currently sitting fifth, and they'll definitely move to that top four, maybe second or third, possibly. The next five is West Coast, Gold Coast, Essendon, Brisbane, and Richmond.
Yeah, well, they probably win 3 or 4, even 5 of those.
Yeah, you just expect them to win around 4 out of the 5. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I just think early in the year, like they lost to St Kilda, like whatever. And I think they lost to somebody else. I can't remember exactly who it was. But they had a slowish start, as they always do, Geelong. And then they get on a roll and off they go. And I tipped the Dogs. I wasn't really disappointed in them. Like, they still played well. I think Geelong ultimately were just too good.
Yeah, it's typical Geelong, hey? This is what they do. They just fly under the radar, bank the wins, have a big win here or there, and then they'll end up in finals, and that's why they were my premiership tip.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one seems to talk about Geelong.
I actually thought the Doggies were going to come back. Towards the end of the third quarter, I believe they kicked 3 or 4 in a row to cut the lead down to, I think it was 3 goals. So made it interesting, but the Geelong held on towards the end, and they were just too good. But yeah, it got exciting for that.
What do you
that
guys
little moment.
think of the lack of, I suppose, acknowledgement of Baz? Do you think, like, the Dogs players didn't acknowledge him apart from the little scuffle with Libba and him towards the end of the game? Do you reckon there were instructions sent out from Bevo to them pre-game? they would have discussed
What,
it.
just
Surely,
not get distracted by him or not be fixated on.
like the amount of hype for this game. It was the most
Yeah.
hyped up game this year,
Yeah.
and that was all centered around Bailey Smith. Yet we were waiting and waiting the whole night for something to happen, and just it looked like the Bulldogs players were ignoring him.
Yeah, I think Baz probably wanted the attention, and he was almost looking forward to it, as he said in the post-match the week before. So I think it was definitely a tactic from the Dogs to not really give him that attention, because that's what he would have wanted, and maybe that's what would have fired him up. But ultimately, their plan didn't work. And that's not to say that if they did go after him, it would have worked, because he was still arguably best on ground. The one thing is, like, Bailey Smith is going to outrun you every day of the week. It doesn't matter which opponent you're on, unless you're on, I don't know, what other runners that can play at his quality can really go with him. None. And I was mentioning, like, he kept on a kick out for Geelong. He was always that first mark and setting the play up for Geelong. It was either him or Holmes. And when you have players that are just going to outrun you all day, it can be very physically taxing to put some physical pressure on him. So that's also something you have to consider.
I suppose, but if he's a big runner and you're checking him every time with a couple players, wouldn't that make it more taxing for him?
Potentially.
Like, if he wants to go and get that mark from the kick out and you have two guys, just give him a little bump along the way. Like, obviously, it could be counterproductive for those two players. But yeah, it was just interesting. Like, hindsight's a great thing. Like, if Bulldogs won, or like, if they had a massive fight with Bailey Smith, like, people would be coming out and saying, wait, what if the Bulldogs just completely ignored him? Like, if they went and won that game, everyone would have been like, that was so smart, they ignored him. Like, but yeah, it was interesting.
2 quick observations about Geelong. Jeremy Cameron is not slowing down. Still one of the best players in the league. He's incredible. And Shannon Neal has replaced Hawkins' spot very nicely. Kicked 5 on the weekend. Thought it was very impressive. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both statements. And I think on Shannon Neal, the way they have seamlessly replaced Hawkins is super impressive. And they're not the same player. Like, I think Hawkins was more of a physical bully per se, whereas Neal is huge, but he's more of a run and jump type of contested mark forward. And I think it was Chris Scott who said maybe last year that they're not going to tell Shannon Neal to play like Tom Hawkins. They're going to tell Geelong, hey, this is Shannon Neal's strengths, and we're going to play to Shannon Neal's strengths, ultimately to make him the best forward. And that's something that I really respect at Geelong. I don't respect a lot of things. I hate them. But like someone like Ryan Myers, for example, he's a small forward, and they know that his strengths are his ball use. So they just make sure they get as many uncontested possessions to Ryan Myers. They know that Max Holmes is fast and he's a great runner. So they want to get him with the ball out on the wing. And he kicks that beautiful goal. It was a bit of a shank that went in. But ultimately, what Geelong do is they play to their players' strengths. And I can't remember who it was that said this in an interview. Maybe in Tom Atkins. And he's another example. Not the biggest name on paper, but is probably the best tackler in the league. And they make sure that he's having a presence at every stoppage. So whilst I hate Geelong, and people may question, like the team's not unbelievable on paper, like how they continue to be so good. Well, this is the reason. And fair play to Chris Scott for enabling this and facilitating all their players to play at their strengths. And that's why they're going to be at the top end again. And never seem to bottom out, the Cats, which is, very envious of.
Shall we digress?
We can digress. That was a long time on Geelong. The other, Dreamtime with the G, Friday night, it really wasn't a great game, and crazily Essendon in the top 8, and with a game in hand, with a percentage of maybe 89. But I think everybody knows that they're just going to fizzle out at some point in the season. It's pretty unlucky with their injuries as well. I think Ben Mackay has also been ruled out against Brisbane, so they have no key backs at all. No Reid, no Mackay, Lewis Hayes at his ACL a week ago. Draper, Bryan, Langford out as well. Parrish may come back, but I wouldn't say they really need midfielders. Is it just a matter of
Just
falling off the cliff for Essendon again?
yeah, I think so.
Is there hope though? Like, Angus Clark comes in? Brodie, do you know who that is?
Yeah, 3 goals in the weekend, 16 touches. Sorry, not weekend, Friday night.
Yeah.
Very impressive debut.
Yeah, it's good to see that his boys get around him. He was good. Like,
Where is he from?
I don't know.
The country.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a country type name,
No,
isn't it?
I don't know. I was just watching the roaming Brian. It was good stuff.
Angus Clark.
I don't know if it was Brian, but like they were interviewing his dad, and like very classic country bloke.
You asked if Essendon's going to make the top 8? Or if they're back,
in a way,
per se.
I asked that, but I just said like everyone thinks that they're going to fall off a cliff, but their ladder position says they're a chance, even though they're kind of missing a lot of players. Like, if you're an Essendon supporter right now, like, what are you thinking for the rest of this year? What are you trying to get out of it?
Yeah,
You'd
like
be more optimistic than a Saints fan.
Yes,
you'd be happy with Reed. I think
Zach.
no one expected that. I think a lot of them had written him off, but I don't know. Like Brisbane,
Caddy's been good.
yeah.
I wonder what was said during...
Caco's done enough already, I think, in his first year. Like small forward, like looks like he can be a mainstay for the next 10 years. Like, but yeah, you'd expect them to start losing now. Like they just don't have enough players.
I wonder
think
what was-
they're gonna seek special considerations for the mid-season draft because they want to play whoever they draft like the day after or something crazy.
Wednesday night they draft him. Thursday night you're playing. Probably.
It's like, yeah. So that's like that's crazy. Like the bloke's never even been to their facilities,
yeah,
trained with them, and he's got to play an AFL game.
yeah. He probably will go to the Gabba before he goes to the hangar
Yeah.
at Essendon, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't even know who he will be. but
And they've got 4 picks in the mid-season as well.
yeah.
I assume they'll take a ruckman, maybe.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Ethan,
I think.
Yeah, go
um,
on.
What's the guy? What's his name? Not Closey. Braden Crossley.
Yeah, Crossley.
Braden Crossley.
Slobbo or something.
Goober, I think.
Goober.
It is. Slobbo.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's been in good form. I just think he needs to get his body right. But that guy, like, I think he's 25 and he looks 45.
And when he was 18, he
he's
looked
27.
45.
27?
I think he's a bit old, 27, yeah. We've
He's a
been
big
saying he's
boy.
25 for like 3 years now, I reckon.
Yeah, I remember when he debuted as an 18-year-old and he pretty much
He
looked
got
the
done
same.
for drugs.
Yeah, he got done. Yeah, got a 2-year ban. But, yeah, like
He just looks a bit out of shape as well.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're playing VFL, like to be like if you're a good VFL ruckman, how much does it take
How
to
tall
get
is
to the
he?
next
Because
level?
I feel like he's not a tall...
I
He wouldn't be a
couldn't
tall
tell you.
ruckman.
Well, his job as well would just to give Goldstein a chip out. Like
Yeah,
if he could give Goldstein a rest every
Peter
few
Wright's
weeks.
doing that job.
Yeah, but if Goldstein will need a rest, like he can't
Yeah.
play every game.
What do we think was said in the lunch with Zach Merritt and the 4 other skippers?
Oh, the coaches and Lloyd and
Did you
Brad
see
Scott
that?
was there?
Yeah.
Who else was there?
Scott,
Lloyd, Watson, Hurd.
Yeah,
So if you're a
Hurd.
fly on the wall, what's being said at that lunch?
Like, where do we go from
Boys,
here?
Zach Merritt's just like, boys, help me out.
Yeah, how do I lead? You know, the club's had no success in years. Where do we go from here? What would have been said?
Well, if I'm Matthew Lloyd,
Lloyd would have experienced most success, him and Hurd.
Yes.
Watson, not so much.
Yeah. What would you say? Lloyd's probably like, yeah, I've got a blank. I'm drawing a blank. I got no idea what he would say. Like, how do you help Essendon? They've been just in the middle for so long, and they can't win a final.
I don't know what I would tell Merritt. Like he does his job.
Yeah, but it's the other.
How do you get the others?
I mean, they've got a few. Like, Nick Martin was great again. He's putting another great season together. And, like, Caldwell's good. Like, their midfield's all right. But even, like, the Dogs smashed them a couple of weeks ago in the midfield.
Yeah.
So, if that's their one wood, well, what do you really get out of it? I mean, I guess you have to just accept you're in a transition phase. But the fans aren't going to like that.
Yeah, it's like, do you need to take a few more steps backwards to go forward?
Yes. Well, I guess they're similar to St Kilda in the way that they never have had like a top 5 pick. It's kind of been that 7 to 12 range, and therefore, they've been hit and miss at the draft. Mostly miss, really.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good one. It would have been fascinating to have a seat at that table.
Yeah. I honestly couldn't tell you what advice they'd be giving. But let's go to the Sunday 320s, and maybe this is just because the D's have been winning, but like Sunday 320s, it's just nothing better.
Yeah, well, tell us about your experience with yesterday.
Yeah, well,
Sunday 320s.
I think Sunday 320s is like sending a risky text to a girl. Like, it's high risk, high reward type shit.
You'd know that, wouldn't you?
A little bit, yeah. But, like, it's either you win and, you have a great Sunday night leading into the week, but then if you lose, like, you really get the Sunday scaries that Sunday evening. So, Nam, should I say, 2 in a row, and we've got another Sunday 320 next week.
You know what happens when Nam wins?
What happens?
You have to listen to the Nam version
Nam
of the
theme
Melbourne theme song.
Speaking of Nam, though, 2-0, beat the 2 grand finalists from last year. The Nam gang, Nam core. I mean,
squad.
Sydney were just seeing fucking jorts and ripped hats and keys jangling around, just going clank, clank. Yeah, I got my keys. This is what they were hearing, Sydney. This is what they're hearing. As Kozzy Pickett kicked 5 goals, could have
Legacy
8.
game.
Yeah, it's a legacy game
I
to an
wish he
extent.
kicked like 8. Like, that would have been unbelievable.
I mean, he had 10 shots at goal.
yeah.
He had an on the full. He went for a torp. I mean, he was taking the P1
14
double
score
5.
involvements, 24 touches.
In the battle of Gawn and Grundy?
Yeah, I think Gawn won. I mean, Grundy's fantasy looks good, but don't really get...
Gawn.
Yeah, Gawn was off the last quarter again.
FTW.
But, yeah, we've had the conversation about this, Kozzy versus Jackson debate, and every person I bump into and their mum and their dad and their subber and their stuff, they're all asking me, oh, so Jackson's coming home, you're just going to be a straight swap for Pickett. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, like, Kozzy Pickett is, you're not going to be able to replace that. No other player in the competition is averaging over 20 disposals and 2 goals. He starts at the centre bounce, has 6 clearances, 3 of those from centre clearances, and then has 10 shots and goal. Like, what other player is doing that? I don't think there is. And as good as Luke Jackson was, like, he was almost best on ground in the Port game. Like, having a small forward that can do that, invaluable. I don't think a ruckman is going to have that effect on a game. So, Dean, can I finally persuade you to the Kozzy Pickett gang?
I think a combination of your hard persuasion, but also having him in my own fantasy team and seeing him do his thing has shifted me towards the Pickett over Jackson in terms of value, who's more valuable. But I just want to see a bit more, because Jackson is the number 1 ruck. His value is only going to skyrocket as well.
Okay, so let's look at that for a sec. What are Freo going to do? Like, are they just going to get rid of Darcy? Because
You'd be getting nothing for Darcy.
and they signed him on a 5-year contract. I assume probably like 800.
Yeah,
a year.
like what club? Like, what would you give for Darcy as a club? Like, give a late
I assume
round pick?
Geelong.
Cash consideration.
Geelong are going to get him, because why would Geelong not get him? They don't have a ruck. I mean, Stanley and Sam DeConning.
Yeah, they've been mentioned around him before.
Yeah.
And watch, they won't have to give up much.
Yes, they won't.
Like, they have all the leverage in that trade.
Yeah, and if I was Freo, you'd have to sell that to Jackson to be the number 1 ruck if you want to keep him. I'm not sure, it may be off field and maybe completely different to that, but Luke Jackson has to be the number 1 ruck at Freo. He's not a forward. He's not a forward ruck. He's a number 1 ruck, and obviously he'll have a forward presence. But I just think Sean Darcy, I hate to put a line through him, but his body's letting him down every year. So even Geelong, like, do they even want Sean Darcy, or do they go for somebody else? Maybe a Riley O'Brien or a Darcy Cameron or someone like that whose clubs don't seem to be paying them what they want.
Quickly, touching on Sydney, currently 4 and 7. This time last year, they were first on the ladder, or maybe it was Carlton.
Nah, Sydney were up there.
Okay, it was Sydney. What's going on? Is it Dean Cox, something internal we don't know about? Because no one predicted that they would be this bad early on into the season. I assumed they'd be top 4, having another go at the grand final. They just got Callum Mills back. I don't think they have too many injuries. What's the issue, Chase? Just you're the one that watched them.
I don't know if it was just like Melbourne being really good or Sydney being really bad. And it was probably a combination of both. But Sydney did not fire a shot all day. Like, they kicked accurately. The chances they got, they put up 78 points or whatever. But they looked clueless out there. Like, they had no idea what to do. After a goal, like, they had all the defenders like kind of look at each other like with their arms out. Like, what do I do?
This could be the impact of losing Horse.
Potentially, and they have been missing a lot of players. Like, obviously, Gordon hasn't played a game. Mills only just came back. And McDonald, Amadi are out. Papley as well. Yep, true. Big one. And I think...
Papley's always injured.
Is he?
Same with... I feel like he's always missing games. Same with Mills.
Yeah, Mills has the last few years.
Yeah, having no Errol definitely hurts.
It does, but... They just seem to get beaten like all around the ground, and they rely too much on Blakey and even Riley Bice to an extent to do something like do a crazy
Bice man.
Yeah, Bice baby. He's been good. Like, Bice has been a revelation, and I think Blakey's been good too. But they rely too much on like just a crazy kick, like in the middle, like a crazy kind of left foot, changing the angles kick to score, and it works a couple times a game, and you think, oh wow, like how good's Blakey? And he runs past a player, and Bice runs 50 meters, gets past a player, and they score, and you think how good, but it's not sustainable. Ultimately, that can't be your game plan. Those are a few tricks up your sleeve you can have, but when your midfield's not firing and you got no forward targets, it's all collapsing for Sydney, and it's crazy that you think like. At the end of last year, that they'd been in this position now. Are they maybe spooked from the grand final last year, or is it just a matter of lack of personnel?
Yeah, well, they're a testament to that stat that when a team gets beat by more than 50 or so to granny, that they don't make finals the year after. I don't know the exact margins, but I don't know. As they say, like, you need a star team, not a team of stars. And at the moment, Sydney are a team of stars.
But what has changed from that team compared to last year, except for Errol being injured? Were they
It's
not
not just Errol. It's obviously lack of personnel, but maybe
I think the forward line is very weak.
Yeah.
There's no one in that forward line you look at and you're like, who's like they're gonna score a goal.
No, not really.
Did Joel Hamling play there?
He did.
Forward this week.
He kicked a goal actually. Maybe 2.
How's Joel Hamling a full forward in 2025?
Yeah, it's crazy. And Hayden McLean's nothing's bad. Oh, and Peter Laddams as well. Yeah, it's an ugly sight.
Like this day and age, you don't need incredible keys. Like, you just need the ball to come to ground. But as for what's changed, like, yeah, the coach, like, it goes both ways with the change of coach. I thought it would have galvanised them a bit more. Like, their preseason videos got us hyped. But yeah, I don't know, some baby problems.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Sydney for being up there for so long, but like they haven't won anything since 2012. Like, they have lost 4 grand finals in a row. So is that true? 2014, 16, 22, and 24.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's scarring for some players, but maybe it's the lack of depth at the Swans. Like, you got guys like Caden Cleary and Angus Sheldrick, where in the past they've probably had better depth around the ground. So that also plays a part.
It's weird because, like, we talk about depth. Adams couldn't get into their grand final team.
Adams was terrible. Like, he was so bad,
but, like,
fumbling.
Last year he was good last year. Luke Parker couldn't get into the team for weeks. Like, I don't know. So much could just change.
Yeah. It's actually crazy how quickly things change in the game.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Like, Melbourne 0-5 and now 5-6. And it wasn't just like an 0-5, like, honourable losses. It was, like, terrible. Like,
We've won 5
terribly.
in a row.
5 out of 6. We lost to Hawthorn.
Yeah, terrible other than the GWS game. I thought
Yeah,
it was good.
GWS game was alright. But, like, yeah, footy is a crazy game. And speaking of a team who started slow and continued to be slow, Carlton. I'm prepared to sit here and rule them out for the season.
Why not?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. I was hoping to say that. No, don't rule them out. Yeah.
When we were
You got to bring on one of
when
their
we were speaking
fans.
to Terry at the start of the year, he had so much passion and hope for this year, and he said, "Why can't we win the grand final?" But I don't know how to put it. They just, as a fan, it'd be tough. It would be really, really tough to go in each week thinking you're a genuine chance, because they are. You know, you're not ruling them out for these games. So who did they?
They just lost to the Giants. They lost to Sydney.
They lost
last
by
week.
what was it? 28 points to the Giants. Wasn't even close throughout the game. It's just disappointing. You expect more. You expect it to be competitive. It's not competitive. It would be a complete letdown.
I just think they haven't changed with the game. They haven't changed their ways from the past 4 years. Or when they had that first decent year with Voss, they came ninth. They lost their last 4, but they were still building that year. They just haven't changed their ways. They've continued to just be this contest team. Their ball movement has never been good, and they just rely on Mackay and Kerno to kick 4 or 5 goals to win a game. And, you know, when they do that you get excited. How good are these guys? But when you come up against the defence of Sam Taylor and Jack Buckley and the like, the small forwards don't offer anything. Motlop's averaging less than a goal a game. I assume Fogarty and whoever else they got down there is averaging less than a goal a game. So their list maybe isn't as good as people think. And the other thing is, yes, questions do have to be put on Michael Voss, because there hasn't been any structural or game style changes in the past few years. Look at a team like Collingwood. Like, look how Craig McRae has tried to change and be innovative. Same as Sam Mitchell with the Hawks. Even Brisbane. Like, Brisbane have made finals the past 6 years, but each year, you know, they play slightly different. There has been none of that from Michael Voss.
Yeah, there's some big schleppers in that Carlton team. Just quickly with Motlop, like, you know, as a Carlton fan, I'd want to see Ashton Moore play. I know he hasn't been playing good football in the VFL, and there was some troubles, I believe, early on this season about his attitude, but I think it's time to play the kid over Jesse Motlop, because you're just not getting anything from him.
Yeah.
He's kicked, I think, 5-6 goals in 11 games now, and 3 of them came from a nothing game. So, you know, you got to start putting your best list forward.
Yeah. Just on one more team that I thought was incredibly disappointing, and that was North Melbourne again. Brodie, the Pies had half a team out there, practically their VFL side, and North were in it for 3 quarters, but Collingwood just professionally took home the 4 points, really. That was it. Like, as a Collingwood fan, like, you really couldn't ask for much more than to just do what you needed to do in the game.
No, credit to North. They played really well those first 3 quarters. But at the same time, I also wasn't nervous. I wasn't stressed. I don't get nervous for these games anymore. And how fortunate am I to feel that? You kind of just know what's going to happen. You know that we only need max 10 minutes to get it done, and that's all it took in the 4th quarter, just to flick the switch and just start trying, because, you know, we were on cruise control those first 3 quarters, and then it all changed pretty quickly. Credit to all the boys that came in last minute. Oleg Markov, brilliant story about being at Bunnings at 3:30, getting a call to quickly step in and play. We had, obviously, Dacos was great, especially towards the end. Ned Long had 29 touches, 14 tackles.
Some sort of season, Ned Long.
Yeah, really, really impressive stuff. Jamie Elliott is basically carrying the forward line whilst the others are resting and not playing. So, yeah, and I hope Maynard is all right. I know he's dealing with plantar fasciitis, so was ruled out early into the 1st quarter, I believe.
2 to 6 weeks, big range.
Yes.
That injury.
Yes. I think
You've had
it
that
was-
Plantar fasciitis.
Yeah,
that's the
kind
foot?
of.
Yeah.
No,
I
I had
thought you had-
tendinitis.
Isn't the plantar fasciitis like where you want it to tear to like
So
speed up the
they
recovery?
were saying that you prefer a full tear rather than a partial tear because it's easier to recover, which is
Yeah, that is weird, but
weird. Yeah.
I'm not a doctor or a
You
physio.
seen anyone at the game who did the triple header? Marvel to the MCG, back to
Kai?
Marvel.
Wait, no, not triple.
Yeah,
Double.
Vic Gallagher.
Kai would have done
Kai-
the double.
Yeah, not triple's crazy.
Sure,
I'm
someone
sure-
would have done
yeah.
a triple. I'm sure.
I'm sure there were nuffies out there.
Like, were there a lot of different coloured scarves
No,
at the game?
no
'Cause-
one was at the game. It was the lowest crowd I've seen at a Collingwood game.
Well, I didn't go to the
They
footy.
said 40. Wait, how many people does can fit into Marvel?
It's like 60.
54 or something.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
40,000 was there.
That's pretty good. That's a
I
lot.
reckon less.
Well, there was only 38 at the Melbourne
It
game.
was sold out.
Well,
Like, I didn't go to Hawthorn, but Zach and Dad were saying just in the stations and around the grounds, you just saw so many different
scarves.
Yeah, gather around.
scarves. Huh?
Yeah,
Gather
they gather
round.
around. But it was
Yeah.
not advertised at all.
I know.
Like even just like a little Fox Footy promo, like
Yeah.
Marvel, MCD, Marvel. Like it wasn't talked about. It was kind of for the fans to observe.
Yeah.
At their
I
own.
wonder how Kai went. Straight from Hawthorn to Harry.
Two very disappointing losses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said it a couple of weeks ago on North.
Not a good Saturday for Allergen.
No. I said a couple of weeks ago with North, like they just don't have match winners. And whatever the stat is of how many wins they've had in the past few seasons, where are the scalps? Like who have they actually beaten? They've beaten Gold Coast a couple of times. They beat Melbourne. They beaten West Coast, Richmond. When is like this upset win going to come? I don't think it has happened.
I think it was the Melbourne game, but it was too premature. It was too early
Yeah.
in the
And
year to
Melbourne
know
weren't
with
going
Melbourne.
well at the
Yeah.
time. So I wouldn't count that as a scalp. They almost got Brisbane. But who's
We're
going to
not
win
going
the
to
game
go
in
to
that
the
last
almost.
quarter?
We'll be there for ages.
Another fly on the wall.
Yeah.
As we were leaving the game, all the North boys went to huddle to talk.
Yeah. After
I
the game.
wonder what was being said in the huddle.
What do you mean?
Post game,
They went into a huddle.
They went into.
Is that
huddle in the middle.
unusual? Like,
Yeah,
It's a bit unusual.
It's pretty unusual.
on the ground.
Can ask Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They like.
So disappointing.
Yeah, that would have been probably the most disappointing one.
Because, like, even guys like Paul Curtis, like, having a great season, but, like, rip the game open in that last
You can't
quarter.
rely on them to finish.
I'm
a
not.
game.
I'm not relying on an individual player, but I don't care if Charlie Combin's, building into a good player. I don't care if LDU's good or Paul Curtis is in All Australian contention. You need to put it together and win a game. Like, so what? So what? Every team has good players, except for like really West Coast and maybe Richmond. Like every side that you play is gonna have these players. The difference is who can win a game and how can you have as many good players playing well together. And North don't have that, so I don't care about the talent they have. I want to see them win a game and take a scalp finally. Thank you. Well, let's get to from the fans. Bit of Dawson Toss mailbag. Ask for some questions.
Just before that,
Okay.
no, it will be quick.
Sure.
Chase, you could even think about if you want to include this, but after the North game was Fremantle versus Port, and we were watching with none other than Shag, and he made an interesting call. He said, it's hard to describe because I'm not on camera, but when players put their fists up
yeah.
after a goal, that's such a Fremantle celebration.
Yeah.
Chase could give you a demonstration
Sure.
of what Shag.
Sure. So, who kicked the goal? Do you know who it was?
Must have been a big forward.
I think it was Amos.
How do you
yeah.
react? Do you just laugh?
Shag was
Or
asking
just
some
confused?
crazy, weird questions on Saturday night. Like, just, I don't know.
Like what? Like show Brodie.
Sure.
at
So Jai Amos kicks a goal. He gives the one hand fist, like the bicep flex, and Shag's like, "It's such a Freo celebration."
Yeah, I feel like I've been in situations where I just either scratch my head or just think about it to myself and like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know how to reply.
And then he was like, "Yeah, like Pavlich back in the day, or maybe Adam said that." And
Oh, Adam was agreeing with him? or
yeah,
taking
Adam
the
was like,
piss?
"Yeah, Chris Mayne would have done that back in the day." And I was like, tried to think about it. So I watched every Freo game for the past 100 years, and
I thought you were being serious for a second.
No, we told Shag to though.
yeah, what Freo player
How
what
does he
other
think of
Freo
that?
player would do that?
Any other?
I could see Pavlich like
I reckon Pavlich was the double.
no.
Actually, no.
Any other comments he made? That were
Oh, he did, but I actually can't remember them off the top of my
Mhm.
head.
No, this could be Doss's deliberation. I think. Like,
Yeah, we can replace it with the.
I
actual
feel like
question.
Aiden Katz will find a stat for every movement after.
I feel like Tracy would be a double Cobra man.
Yes, Tracy. Hayden Young, I said was the flex. He does that one a bit.
Yes.
What does Shag do at extreme?
You had a
The
good
kicks
you had a good call. You said like
the
Sydney are
pointers.
the pointers.
Yeah, Sydney are the pointers. Yeah. So well, I know Pappy does the point and spin. And you've got guys like Heaney. Heaney's a pointer, and so is Warner. They're both pointers.
Hawthorn's very big at like looking
Curious,
to the
how
crowd.
did you respond to Shag's comment?
How did I respond?
How did both of you?
Well, there's obviously a pause.
Was there a giggle? Was there a laugh? Was there a question
Is it-
back to him?
No,
Did you refute it?
There was almost a pause, goon question back. Like,
it made me think.
Oh,
Like it genuinely
maybe.
made me think. I didn't just like gloss over it.
well, this is to the listeners. If you can think of a team that often celebrates in the same way,
Hawthorn.
they got all their different celebrations.
Yeah, like some player, Rochelle was way over the top. I don't know if you saw some
No,
of his on
I
West.
wasn't watching that Adelaide game.
It was against West Coast, and my guy's doing like I'm him, like pointing to the ground, like. But no, it was. I just
Team
don't.
doesn't
How
like
can a
that.
team claim the one hand?
I think they've claimed it. I think there's
yeah, I'm
Let's
gonna
watch it. We'll watch for it this weekend.
I think it's certified Freo now. The one hand.
Watch
fist.
for it, and whoever's listening as well.
Yeah. Murphy Reid was good again for Freo.
Okay.
Rising star stuff.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to mention, but I don't remember him doing the fist. So
Nah, he's
can't
not a.
guess it.
He's first year
Five
player,
would
so
have
let
done
him-
the fist sometime.
I feel like Murphy Reid's a joyous high five type of job.
Yeah,
What are the other forwards?
Michael Walters.
I can't remember. I can't think of him celebrating. Jesse Hogan for that couple
No,
years.
Lockie Schultz just doesn't give a fist.
Doesn't.
Nah.
Caleb Sarong wouldn't be a fister. Or would he?
Wouldn't be a fist.
A fist.
All right. Let's move on.
Yeah, it's.
Just actually no, sorry, from the fans. Zachy asked the best small forward in the comp currently.
No.
I think he's number 2. I think Toby Green is
I was
probably
about to
still
say Toby Green.
number 1.
Rip the game apart.
Yeah. However, if he didn't have that game of the weekend, maybe you would have
Yes.
forgotten about him.
Yes, true. I mean, let's not sleep on Jack Higgins at the moment. I wouldn't put him there, but if you all Australian team right now,
Yeah,
Jack Higgins would probably be in it.
Yeah.
Is there
He likes that one. Really likes it.
anyone else worth getting? Small forwards. I mean, it's Bobby Hill,
Oh, we could name them all, but let's try it. Like,
Rankin, but I feel like Rankin's more of a midfielder nowadays. But he's up there.
Pickett, still
Yeah,
more of
I
a forward.
put him number 2 behind Toby Green right now.
Dev asks, this is specifically for Dean.
It is.
Can Hawks play good footy without Will Day?
Good footy, yes. Great footy, I'm not sure. That's
Ooh, is he that important for you guys?
Well, that I just paraphrased off Sam Mitchell about our form, but yeah, we haven't really managed to showcase our best footy without Will Day, but he's definitely not significant to the point where we can't play good footy. I think it's a
Yes.
whole system that's just we're a bit off at the moment.
Is it going to turn?
Oh, I think so, but on the weekend was definitely the most frustrated I'd been in ages because, as I spoke about last year, no expectations, so
Did
it
you
was a
go?
free hit. Nah, watched it on the couch. Was actually getting told off by mum again for celebrating and abusing the
Oh, really?
umpires, and
At home.
so
gotta keep his heart
I didn't
rate.
get to explain. but
really?
Yeah.
so
I didn't know
last
that.
week the Hawthorn
heart
game was last week. The Hawthorn game against Gold Coast was the night, the surgery I'd had that day, and then that was the night. So watched it at home, and like I wasn't that well, and like I couldn't get my heart rate up, and it was a close game, and like I think I celebrated once, and like mum like was not having it. Like she told me like you can't do that.
Why can't you get your heart rate up?
Oh, just per the recovery, like for 2 weeks, just have to.
I didn't know about that.
But
Yeah.
Is that with all surgeries?
No,
Yeah,
just I
that
don't know.
is, yeah.
They don't want to impact the nose, but
Yeah, fair.
so this week I'm by myself, and like there were a lot of it was so frustrating. We were turning it over. I didn't think the umps were on our side. Like it wasn't the umpire's fault, but a lot whatever. And like I was like bashing the pillow, and like mum was not having it. She's like, "You need to be nice." Like who are you yelling at? They can't hear you. Like
Just don't get it, Justine.
oh.
Wasn't brought up with it. Laz, does Chase remember Fraser Rossman? Ethan, I do remember Fraser Rossman, pick 34 from the 2020 draft. Never got drafted. Actually, I was very excited when we did. Like, 194 centimeter wingman. Like, is it going to be the next Goon? Who's a good tall wingman? I don't even know. Is he going to be the next Harrison Jones? Probably not. Anyway, never got a game. And then he said mid-season draft, who gets picked up? To be honest, Ethan, I do not really follow what's going on with the mid-season draft. The only person I can think of is Brandon Parfitt.
Yeah, Parfitt and Crossley, we mentioned earlier.
Yes. Yeah, apparently Parfitt's just tearing it up in the waffle, and West Coast might pick him. So, sure. Brandon Parfitt. Melbourne didn't have a pick, so I'm not following it. Corey, are players getting younger or are we getting older?
Definitely the latter.
Well,
They're not getting younger, that's for sure.
Well, I think literally, yes, we are getting older and players aren't necessarily getting younger, but there are a lot of
Better players that are playing well earlier
Yes.
into their career.
yes. And
Well put.
but the one thing I can say on this is I think Nick Dacos has set like an extremely high standard for these young players coming in, and
The top draft picks.
yes, the top draft picks. And now we just expect like players to just dominate in their second, third seasons, and we're like a bit confused as to why they have a potential lull in their career. Like looking at Harry, he hasn't been maybe as dominant as he was in his first 2 years this year, and fans are so confused. Like, but he's still 20 years old. So I think that's the precedent that Nick Dacos has. I guess it's a byproduct of his dominance, and I think that's a little bit disappointing. But Corey, I think younger players, the pathway system is getting better, and the clubs are helping them integrate and feel more comfortable. So I think that's why they're playing better. But yes, we are getting older. Stiggs, is Jazza the best forward in the league?
Tall forward? Yeah.
All forwards. Probably.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who would...
Hogan. I guess Cameron can go up the ground more.
Yeah.
And he's a better field kick.
crafty.
Yeah, Hogan's got such good hands.
Yeah.
The goo.
Goo Hogan.
And
I miss
such
you.
a straight kick.
A lot of change in the last few weeks. What is your predicted top 8? Well, I don't think we'll go through that whole top 8.
Well, we could say who we think will come in. Like,
Yeah, let's
if we've
go
said
ins and
Essendon
outs.
will
So-
drop.
So looking at the ladder, I think the top... I think Collingwood are obviously locks. I think Brisbane are locks.
I think Gold Coast will make it.
I think Gold Coast are locks.
About
They also
time.
have a game in hand. I think Geelong are locks. And then Adelaide are 4th, but I wouldn't put them a lock yet. I wouldn't put the Giants a lock, and I wouldn't put Hawthorn a lock.
I reckon Freo move up.
Yeah, okay. I think Melbourne are a couple wins away from... If Melbourne...
And don't rule out Sydney yet.
Nah, I'm ruling out Sydney.
Nah.
They were hopeless. I'm ruling out Sydney.
Don't rule
I think
out.
the only teams
You
that can
can't.
move up are Wallop, Freo,
No, it's not Indigenous round.
Nam. It's still on the AFL website, Dean.
I don't think Melbourne.
Not on
I
Footy
think
Live.
I don't think you can rule them out. And yeah, that's it. I don't think Yardapulti aren't making a run.
Jeez,
Yeah, no one
can't.
understands this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would. Now, St Kilda and Port, no chance. Sydney, I'm going to say no. Carlton, they actually have an easy run coming up, but I'm going to rule them out.
I'm taking Sydney over Carlton if it's between them.
Okay, so make your prediction. Who goes out, who goes in by end of season?
Oh,
Oh, it's very hard to
Alright,
say who goes out.
I'll go first then. I think the Giants... Oh my God, I actually don't know. Maybe it's locked.
nah, I think Freo will replace Bulldogs.
No. Okay, sorry. Yeah, you're entitled to your opinion.
Thanks.
I'm actually going to say Hawthorn drop out for Melbourne.
Oh, wow.
Wait, 10 out of 10 rage bait.
Wow.
Let's move on.
That's not rage bait. I think
That's rage bait.
I feel like it's a.
they're 6-6 next week if they beat St Kilda. Dean,
We do have a
Who's
tough
in and out?
fixture. It's a cop out, but I don't want to drop anyone from this top 8.
so you think top 8's locked?
I guess I'll just drop the Giants and put in. We'll go Freo.
Okay. Not with much conviction.
No, not at all.
Okay, let's. One more question from Sam. Said all Australian Smokies. I don't know. I mean, I can think of like players are locks, but in terms of Smokies,
Like Jack Higgins,
yeah,
is he
Jack
smoky?
Higgins is
or-
smoky. But I could
Is
see
he?
him kind of drop off in the second half of the season. I don't know. Caught me off guard there. I'm just thinking of Jake Bowie from Melbourne, but I wouldn't put him there yet. Dane Zorko is being slept on a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he could definitely make back-to-back All Australians at 35 and 36, which is crazy.
I think
Jamie Elliott,
Miller's
Brodie?
had a nice year.
Elliot could definitely. I was going to say still side bottom, but he missed the most recent game
Yeah.
and didn't have the best game the week before that. So I was 2 weeks before I would have said that, but not currently.
Yeah,
And
Lockie Ash.
Lockie Ash.
Yeah.
Well,
But I wouldn't say he's... I guess that counts as a smoky.
yeah, he's definition of a smoky.
Yeah, he
Yes.
goes bang early.
Okay.
Right.
Didn't get that one, Chase.
Lockie Ash goes bang early. Yes. No, I do remember that. He was my fantasy name back in the day. Let's not be silly. Dean?
Dean.
All right.
He's always got like a written article already.
It's good. It's good.
All right, let's not be silly, boys. If you're West Coast, you have a once-in-a-generation chance to reset your entire list. But it means making the tough call on Harley Reid. Here's how it goes. West Coast finished last. That's pick 1. They get the Oscar Allen compensation. That's pick 2.
Wow.
They trade Harley Reid to Richmond, and in return, they get pick 3, North's first-round pick, which Richmond have the rights to, and pick 4, Richmond's first-round pick. That's picks 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this draft. That's the foundation of an entire rebuild, not just a one-man show. So, for West Coast, it's about getting in multiple elite kids, not just one. Reid is a gun. He's looks like a once-in-a-generation player, but it's not just about the one star when you're struggling as bad as West Coast. So I think for them, it's about being smart, maximising on their draft capital, and building a list that will actually contend in the future.
You wouldn't trade any of those picks if you're West Coast? Who's to say that the 2025 draft class is going to be as good as...
That they could trade it, but like if you have 1, 2, 3, and 4,
I wouldn't, yeah. wouldn't
that
be
sets
trading.
you up, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, they are saying that potentially this draft is not as deep, but
Yeah.
it still has good top-end talent. I think that's what Cal Toomey and the likes are saying. Dylan Alexander follows draft is also saying that. So I agree, Dean. Let's not be silly, West Coast, and get started on this. And if you have the first 4 picks in the draft, you're pretty much guaranteed 2 superstars.
Exactly. Like, play the odds.
Yeah. I mean, you look at every draft in the past year, like, let's just say last year, bit hard because Jagger Smith's not playing, but you get, like, Levi Ashcroft, I know he wasn't accessible, Finn O'Sullivan and Sam Lawler, like, you get you get all those players. Like, the year before, you get, who was in 2023 draft? Nick Watson was pick 5?
Mm-hmm.
Dersma,
McKercher,
Harley Reid, and
pick 4 was...
there was a pick in between North? Or was there...
Oh, it was the...
Who the hell was in that? I'm just forgetting.
I know it went Reid, McKercher, Dersma.
Anyway, you're going to get, like, superstars if you do that. I
Yeah.
like that, Dan.
Do you think he's worth pick 3 and 4?
I think Richmond would do that. Think like how many draft picks they got
Yeah,
last year. Like,
It seems like a win-win trade. I just... Yeah, I don't
that's
know.
not silly.
Yeah.
Brodie.
Yeah, so I found some Kane Corn's archives. We all saw the little altercation between him and Bevo on the weekend.
Yeah.
Bevo refused to speak with Channel 7 pre-game. Kane Corns didn't like that, and there was a bit of lip between them. We don't actually know what was said. If anyone could read the lips and know what was going on, please tell
Be a
us.
fly, where would you be right now?
Yeah, there's a few situations at the moment. So that was one incident. And then the other, which actually happened last week, was Kane Corns a while ago said that the Tigers sold their future when they landed Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper. Then last week, it goes on to say that Sam Lawler is the future of the whole competition. So to say that Richmond have gotten rid of their competition and then recently say, they've gotten rid of their future and recently say that now they've got their future is completely contradicting himself. So that's my let's not be silly Kane Corns. I think, it's good he targets a lot of people, so it's good to target him, and yeah.
That felt good.
Yeah,
I'd
it
love
did.
to hear you ring up SEN and tell that to him.
Yeah, you should.
He's
Another,
so
nah,
combative.
but-
He would never admit he's wrong, Kane.
But I think he's so much more knowledgeable than I am. It is his full-time job. He'd be able to counter attack too quickly, and
He would, but there are times where
maybe
you could
against Chase, if Chase was arguing, because Chase always
I'd love that.
do it Friday. This Friday.
Might have to. Another one on Corns is like, he's obviously been critical of Harley Reid in the past, like this year, because, flipping the bird and being, maybe letting his emotions get the better of him. But then he praises someone like Bailey Smith for doing the same thing, except Bailey Smith has obviously had a better season. However, Harley Reid's a lot younger than Bailey Smith. So, again, you kind of
They're
contradict
not
yourself
younger, and
there.
you're just getting them when they're down. Like,
Yeah.
I sent on the chat, but the 3rd of July is a big game on Thursday night. North Melbourne versus Bulldogs. Channel 7 obviously do Thursday nights.
he's not allowed.
Kane
into
Corns
either
is not allowed into either rooms.
Yeah.
No matter who wins, he won't be there. It will be very interesting.
Good.
Would like to see that. So my Let's Not Be Silly is consecutive weeks, Port Adelaide. Let's not be silly. What are we doing with Ken Hinkley right now? Like, if I was a Port Adelaide fan, I would be so hopeless right now. If you want to have the succession plan because you make a prelim last year and maybe you want to contend again and you think Ken Hinkley is the guy, cool. But that's not the situation. You are now in a transition phase. Why are you not just telling Ken Hinkley, look, it hasn't worked this year, we're starting the car, and get Josh Carr in now? There is no reason for that not to happen right now. It makes no sense. And if it's simply, we want to respect Ken Hinkley, you want to give him the send-off, you're wasting half a season to do that. Like, imagine, like, that you said, Travis Spoke's been a great servant of the club. Him and Joe Barry are probably on the same ability, but we're going to play Travis Spoke for the rest of the season and leave Barry in the twos because we want to give Travis Spoke a send-off for the rest of the season. Think about how stupid that sounds. It's the exact same thing with the coaching staff. It makes no sense why Ken Hinkley is still the coach of Port Adelaide if they are not going to contend this year. 0 sense. Let Josh Carr get a feel for the players, let the players have a feel for Carr, and then you move on to next season with a bit of, with 10 rounds or so of information about this list.
Rev the engine.
Completely agree. Any more Let's Not Being Silly?
Oh, I like though. That was
I've
good.
been silly. I think people are being silly and we have Let's Not It.
Nice quartet.
Round 12. The Sir Doug Nickel rounds are over. We start with a Thursday night, Brisbane Essendon at the Gabba. I can think of Tom Cutler as
Josh
as our
Green,
cup.
the little redhead.
Yes, he was Josh Green.
Alan Christensen. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Dean. Alan Christensen's a great one, the top-up player. Speaking of Alan Christensen, no, struggling. At the Gabba, I've got McCluggage, Dunkley, and Caldwell in this game, but I don't think I can watch it.
Tips.
Brisbane. By a lot.
Yes.
Big game. Friday night. The internal Dawson Toss Cup.
Yes.
Collingwood.
Six are at us for Chavez.
Stig, so also an Alta Stiglitz Cup,
Yes.
if you will.
Collingwood
Hawthorn.
Clinton Young.
Tom Mitchell.
Ned Long.
Yep.
The guy that had to retire from concussion.
Max Lynch.
Max Lynch,
Alex Woodward, if you will.
if you will. Any coaches, if you will? I've got an
Yeah,
if you will coach.
yeah.
Brendan
Craig
Bolton.
McRae.
Craig McRae. What's he at Hawthorn?
Yeah. Assistant.
Brendan Bolton, assistant at Hawthorn,
Yeah.
and also assistant at Collingwood.
Player for Hawthorn.
Did he?
Did his knee in a prelim.
Brendan Bolton?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Brendan Whitecross.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, all good.
Tips. Eyes.
Yeah.
I'll
Collingwood.
back us in. I don't know.
Okay. No,
Left
all
it.
good.
Yeah,
there.
no.
Collingwood get a lot of plays back. I reckon.
Gold Coast v Freo. Who's
Josh
the really
Corbett.
Who's the
Good.
runner? The blonde.
Jeremy Sharp.
Jeremy Sharp.
Oh,
Got a
there's
feeling
gotta be
there's not
more
many.
here.
Nah, got
No,
a
there
feeling
wouldn't.
there's not many.
No, I got a feeling there's heaps, and we're just forgetting all of them.
Well, I guess we'll never know.
That hurts. I got one Brandon Matera.
Nice.
Good.
No, thanks.
I'm tipping Gold Coast.
Jager O'Meara as well.
Wow, yes.
See, they just come out. Thinking of backs, yes, I got a backman, Sam Collins.
Oh, good.
Yep, cool. More on the Gold Coast side, Lockie Weller. See, they just come.
Yeah.
They just come.
Wow.
It's just one after the other. The brain just keeps ticking
Tip.
over. The cogs go. But that could be all she wrote for my cups there. Tips. People's First Stadium, the Fortress at Gold Coast. I think the Suns get it done.
Yeah, I'll go the Suns.
GWS versus Richmond. Speaking of Jacob Hopper and Tim Taranto.
This is the nap game, I think, for Brodie.
Yeah.
4:15 nap game.
I don't have a nap. It was my first time playing footy in a while, and I was just spent after.
Yeah. All right. Jacob Townsend as well. You said Taranto and Hopper.
Yeah.
Brett Delidio.
Yep.
The OG Lids Cup, I reckon, back in the day. Or
Wait, you said Townsend, yeah?
Yeah, I said Townsend. Give me some more. Give me some more. Give me a forward. Give me a midfielder. Give me a back, if you will. Come on. Dean. That's it. The look of
Tipping GWS.
yeah, Giants. Giants get on a roll.
Sydney versus Adelaide. Kurt Tippett.
Yeah, I was gonna go Kurt Tippett. But I'll go
Jordan Dawson.
I was going to Jordan Dawson, but that's okay. That sets a challenge for myself now. Really have to think hard about Sydney and Adelaide. Struggling. Sydney,
I haven't
Adelaide.
been much help.
Sydney, Adelaide. No, that's a tough one for me.
Tip.
Talia brothers.
Yeah, no.
I think this is the game that Sydney bounced back.
No, I'm actually going to go Adelaide.
I reckon. Is that the SCG?
I agree, but I just think Sydney are hopeless at the moment. And I think
Dean?
Callum Mills will be out suspended.
I'll go Adelaide.
Really?
Yeah, and maybe Baker as well. He might be in trouble.
Melbourne versus Saints. Chase Cook.
At Alice Springs, Kozzy in front of the brothers. That's a
Oh.
danger game.
Oh,
for
yes.
Dean likes that. Saints,
Speaking of
D's.
Dean Kent.
So got Dean Kent. Nice, Dean. Luke Dunstan.
Did you say Sir Dean Kent? I heard that.
Sir Dean Kent.
He's been knighted.
Luke Dunstan and Tom Campbell.
Yeah,
Jack
Tom
Billings. Oh,
Campbell.
geez, so many terrible names here. And we decided to pick them all up.
Who else?
So you've got those guys. You've got... Nah, I'm going blank after that. St Kilda and Melbourne. Dean Kent, we said that all those shit players.
3, 2.
Melbourne.
The Jones brothers.
This is the game that ends the season for Saints. Melbourne.
Alan Richardson Cup, if you will. General manager of football at Melbourne, coach St Kilda.
Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne as well. Wow.
West Coast v Geelong. Tim Kelly.
This is a real Sunday Arvo
Yeah.
graveyard shift game.
Sunday night.
Oh, 7:20.
Any other
Sure.
cups?
So West Coast and St Kilda. Yeah, you've got Jermaine Jones.
Yes, good.
Love the affirmation that team gives me after. Give me one. Real dopamine hit. Come on. West Coast, Geelong.
Said Tim Kelly.
Ruckman. Premiership Ruckman.
Oh, Nathan Vardy.
Nathan
Yeah, I was
Vardy.
thinking Vardy.
He's got the barcode tattoo of the mark he took.
Does he?
In the play of the Dom Sheed goal.
Well, we mentioned Brandon Parfitt, who potentially could be a cup come
wow. Yeah.
before this game happens if West Coast decide to pick him up.
Yeah.
So that could be a possibility. Other than that,
I'm
a
done.
bit difficult.
Geelong for me.
Geelong.
Yeah, I think it'll be tight for a couple minutes and then Geelong kick away. So Cats, and that will do us. A lot of buys in the week.
Shame Harry is a bye. We don't get Shovelwat Sheasel.
Shovelwat Cheesel. Didn't even know it was Shovelwat. Keen for some cheesecake. Dean, will we see you on the camera next week?
Yeah, I'll get up for it. Big one. Big
Yes.
guest.
Yeah. We got a returning guest. Will I say it? Yeah, sure. For those listening at this
Yeah,
point
if you
of the
made it
podcast.
to this part, you
Yeah.
deserve it.
Yeah, sure. Renitsha is coming back on the podcast next week. Obviously, it was great last year. We're going to have to think of something different because we exhausted a lot of our entertainment last year. So, no, very, very keen. Brodie, thank you.
Thank you. Runners.
Peace.